What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new D&D video where I made this video once already, but my mic wasn't plugged in, so I was talking for like an hour straight and didn't realize or to bother to check that my mic wasn't plugged in like an idiot. So this is my attempt 2 where I know the mic is actually working because I'm actually looking at it work. So let us begin. I forget where they left off. I'm pretty sure they left off after leaving the Shadowfell and dealing with that whole business. No, they left off after they got back from the Void Watchers, where Caspian and Canwell became Void Watchers, and then they headed back after that. Oh my god, I need a shave. It's not the video here. But as they got back from the whole Void Watcher thing, they took a rest, just kind of wondering what they should do next, when Caspian decided that it was time to set out into her old village on Sazula Basin in Northrend, on top of a hill known as Frenzy Heart Hill. When they all took the Pegasus ring, or they took the Pegasus, flew all the way there, where they saw a very beautiful looking little area. It was full of trees, almost like a little jungle, where they landed next to almost like a little spring, where they all kind of took a little bit to bathe in and just kind of wash up before heading up the hill. When they went up the hill, they saw that the village that used to be here was completely destroyed. Absolutely demolished. There was charred marks everywhere and bodies everywhere. There appeared to be no one in sight until they discovered a house that had a little girl, a child, underneath it. As they were investigating this child, who seemed to be alive but unconscious, a figure came out. A human. I forget his name, so we're going to call him Jared, because that's who he was. As Jared came out, kind of introduced himself. The group was a little bit weary, but Jared admitted to helping this child, but could not get the get this little all these wood on top of her, off of her, because she wasn't the strongest of people. So Canwell lifted up all this wood, and they pulled the girl out. And as she was pulled out, she appeared to be, she was a halfling child, a halfling girl. The little girl began to scream at Caspian after seeing her, saying, "You did this. You killed my mommy and daddy, my family, my friends. And go away, monster, go away." And the child began crying and freaking out. As they were dealing with this child, in the middle of this village, this red rift opened up. As 6 Khazits, I think that's how you pronounce them, these 6 bearded devil-looking creatures, and what's known as a Malakabel, something like that. It was this almost flaming black skeleton that was engulfed in flames, crawled out of it. As they broke into a fight with these monsters, Arya picking up the little girl, trying to protect her, as this flaming skeleton creature teleported somehow right in the middle of this huge group and exploded with fire and flames, but not fire, more of a radiant blast, as the group quickly defending this little girl, breaking into a huge fight, managing to kill them all pretty easily though. Decided to take refuge and shelter inside this stone building, and that seemed pretty sturdy, and the only thing kind of left standing inside this destroyed facility, or village. As Caspian, Jared, and Aldrax decided to go look for Caspian's old home. Leaving the rest of the group, Canwell, Vash, and Kriv, and Arya, and this little girl, all inside the stone building. Aldrax, Caspian, and Jared managed to find her old home and investigate it. Jared managed to find a note that says, "We're sorry, it was a mistake. You weren't ready, my daughter. You need to destroy that monster before it consumes you. You have to release it from your body and kill it, but it is no easy task. You need to be careful, though. A group of demon hunters known as the Fellblades are hunting you. They wish to destroy that demon in you and stop it from ever coming into this world. We think we know how to destroy that thing inside you, though. All you have to do is, and the rest of the note is cut off and covered in blood. As Jared decides to show it to to Caspian and Aldrax, they decide there's nothing left here. Let's go head back to the rest of the group. However, the rest of the group, as they were resting, saw two figures kind of walk in. One wearing a hood, appears to be male, and having these angelic wings, kind of these ghastly spectral angelic wings kind of coming out of his back. Next to him, this pretty bearded man wearing lots of leather and having just like a staff made of just pure nature itself. As this man with the hood and these angelic wings was really hostile and demanding to know where Caspian is. When the group wasn't complying, the man approached Kriv and with a touch caused Kriv to fall to the ground and almost seemed dead. And did the same to Canwell with just a touch. They both fell to the ground, appearing dead. As the rest of the group, as Caspian, Aldrax, and Jared entered into a home, these two individuals demanded that Caspian and all of them come with him, or break into a fight, basically. They decided to come willingly. However, the bearded man, decided to stay and help the little girl that they had, and decided to close this, or help close this portal that have opened up into the material plane. As they stepped through this dark greenish portal that this man seemed to open with just a sword, they appeared in a place called Meridum, the Shrouded Abyss, where the land here is charred black like obsidian, with the streaks of green cracks that go throughout it. There's pools of light green throughout this entire land, and the skies are black with dark green clouds. As they kind of looked around, they see that they're on this floating island with no other land in sight, and there's a variety of demons chained and these humanoids walking around, patrolling. The stench of smoke is strong, as if someone just put coal in your lungs. The guy explaining, "This is Meridum, the Shrouded Abyss, where only as demon hunters can get to. Our leader created this realm to imprison demons forever, and that's where the demon that Caspian has inside her was supposed to go to, but her parents decided to put it inside her instead." They eventually arrive at this dark obsidian tower, where the inside is various shades of gray, where a throne in front of them is made entirely out of demon parts. As the man following, or kind of leading them here, introduced himself as Isaac, and kind of bowed down to this guy sitting on a throne, who was standing about 16 feet tall. As Isaac said, "Master Illidan, this is the girl." As Illidan, now this huge monster who has feet almost like goat legs. As he kind of stood up and walked over to Caspian before stabbing this huge blade inside her stomach that released some kind of liquid to calm Caspian's demon. They all were sentenced to eternal imprisonment inside this other dimension for assisting Caspian. And Caspian needed to stay because that demon inside of her ever escapes would bring terror to the entire world. They are all led to a different cell. Caspian, being the last one, was thrown inside this cell. As she woke up to consciousness, she saw her two halfling parents now trapped here as well. They were excited to see her, but Caspian was not having any of it. As they tried to hug her, Caspian just did not like him at all. They were trying to explain that that they know how to free the demon. Caspian, really pissed off at him, decided to listen, and they explained that the only way to release it is by going into the hole in the world known as Deepholm. Go to the Temple of Earth and find the sword. Once you find it, and I know this sounds insane, but trust me, You have to impair yourself, causing yourself to die, and only you can do it. The blade will suck the demon out of you, releasing it, and you will need to find the cube. The cube should repair your spirit and soul, causing you to live once more, but it can only be used once. You have one shot to do this. Once you do this, you'll be free. Not sure how your body will react, so make sure you are not alone. Last time we heard was that this cube was located in Shadowfell, but that was over 250 years ago. We know that if the cube is used, you can still get the powers back by killing its host, whoever the cube was used on. Caspian decided she needs to tell Illidan this, and convince one of the guards to let her free and talk to Illidan. Illidan laughed at about the thought of the cube. He explained that it's inside Utaga, a lizard folk, who is the wife of Ranzor, the old hero Zatav who defeated the Void Tiamat. He explained that she is a mother of 3, and said that and made a deal with Caspian, saying that if you kill Utaga and get the cube and bring it to me, I will free you. I will not allow you to be, or I will not keep you and your friends here in eternal imprisonment if you do this. Caspian accepts, and the rest of the group comes in, agreeing as well, as they are marked with some kind of brand on their hands, signaling that they have a deal. As they are teleported out, they appear in the Cathedral of Pelor, where Ranzor is currently lying down, healing from his trouble in Northrend with the Draconians, just like himself. This group now, realizing that they're in a pretty weird state, they, God, my nose is so itchy. They quickly leave, however, Kriv stays and begins to talk to Ranzor. As Ranzor is trying to talk to a cleric to see if he's ready to go home, the cleric confirming yes he is. Kriv decides to start a little bargain, or a race, with Ranzor, seeing who can race home the fastest. The rest of the group trying to head as quick as they can to Ranzor's home. Jared and Caspian kind of trying to slow him down as Ranzor and Kriv are running up. Jared turns into an old lady, trying to convince Ranzor that the cathedral is on fire, but Ranzor, not buying it, continues to run past and make his way to his home. As they travel deep in the Yellowland Forest, Kriv and Ranzor arrive at this wood cabin home. As the door opens, Utaga greets them kindly with her 3 kids, very happy to see their dad, after not seeing for quite some time. The rest of the group slowly gets there. As they go inside, Utaga is very friendly, as he's making dinner for everyone. Kriv's talking to Ranzor, saying he needs to talk to him later. As they all sit down and have a nice dinner, the kids all talk to their new guests, wanting to learn all about them. Being kids, they're curious. After dinner, Kriv says, "Can I talk to you, Ranzor, alone?" Kriv and Ranzor decide to go upstairs. The rest of the group, Caspian, Canwell, Aldrax, Arya, and Jared decide to stay downstairs and try to talk to Utaga, but Utaga said, "We can talk after I finish the dishes." Vash decides to help, try to cooking it up. As they're doing that, as Kriv reveals the whole truth of why they're actually here, telling them that, Kriv telling Ranzor that we got caught by some demon hunters. They told us we have to kill, that we have to kill. I'm just changing the song real quick. We have to kill Utaga to get this. To get this cube. And if we don't, these demon hunters are basically going to kill us. Renzo did not take this kindly at all, and was really, really mad and yelled at them, telling them basically to get out. Yutaga really curious about what was going on as Kriv went downstairs and Ranzor falling behind. Ranzor now holding this huge axe. The group explained why they were here and all that. Yutaga, now hearing the full story, walks over to Ranzor and puts him to sleep. As Yutaga looks at the other group and begins to get hostile with them, realizing what's going on and that this group clearly needs this cube. Yutaga decides to turn aggressive and almost seem hostile and more pissed to try to make their job easier for them. And she turns into a dragon and begins to fight this group. Her kids running down to try to help their friend or mother. Her kids murdered in the process of trying to help their mother. Eventually, Yutaga is met by Aldrax's blade. As it slams into her, getting ready to deal the finishing blow, she stops him real quick and says, "Let me do one thing before you kill me." As she walks over to Ranzor and begins to touch him, casting Fire, modifying memory with her last spell slot. She saved one last spell slot just for this. As after the spell is done, she walks back over in front of Aldrax. As Aldrax deals the finishing blow, Ranzor wakes, his head thankfully in the wood, as Aldrax kind of pushes Yutaga off of his weapon. She falls to the ground lifeless now. Ranzor sits up now, seeing his family completely murdered, and he already lost Yutaga once, but he just lost her again. This caused him to go into a really sad state, whereas he looks around and demands answers. He walks over to Kriv, asking him the truth, and Kriv admits, or says that they were killed by assassins. Ranzor is seemingly believing it. Ranzor makes one demand and says, "Can we burn the house down?" He doesn't want to live here anymore. As they all go outside, Ranzor is staying inside with Aldrax for a little longer. Kind of looking back before stepping outside. Aldrax, being the last one inside, goes over to Yutaga to cut out the resurrection cube. A very sloppy job. It's pretty noticeable of how it's cut out. But he takes it out and puts it in his bag, and it just slowly begins to light up as he quickly tries to conceal it, hoping Ranzor won't notice. He then begins to light the flint and steel to light this house on fire. It is treated wood, thankfully. Or not really thankfully, unfortunately, so it does take the house a little while to light up. As the house is then caught on fire, they watch as the house slowly engulfs into flames. Ranzor and Kriv now walking away, heading to Stormwind into the Eastern Kingdoms. The rest of the group following behind, realizing what just happened, and they're now walking with the man whose family they just murdered. As they make their way back to Stormwind, they see that it is completely full of people. There appears to be some kind of event going on. As they ask someone, they say that the king has returned, and that he has some kind of special announcement to talk about. As they make their way to the castle, they see that a huge stage is set out in front of the entrance to the main castle where the king sits. They see 5 other royal council members, as well as Princess Adeline. So the king kind of stands up on the stage in front of all these people, and he says, "I guess I should start from the beginning. As you all know already, my daughter Princess Keyleth has fallen in battle. She believed her traitor was among us, and at first we were hesitant, and didn't fully believe her. However, she was right. Lord Castellan was working with Silvermoon to try and kill us for our bans on magic. Now, originally, we were allied with Silvermoon until this incident. But they broke our treaty. It also turns out they were using void magic. The worst magic. And this magic has been banned across the top for the incident over 250 years ago. However, Silvermoon has been turned around. A new king and queen have prevailed. They took down the old, corrupted queen and king. And people chose them to be their leaders. Tathan, Zaylene, please step onto the stage. So the crowd begins to cheer. Tathan being this long, red-haired, full golden plate mail blood elf. Stepping to the stage, Zaylene being a blood elf as well, kind of a more darkish red. They all step on as Tathan kind of walks in front of her. Says, "Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yes, it is true. The old king and queen are dead. However, me and Zaylene cannot take this victory alone. Finnegan, the strongest wizard, helped us. He was able to weaken the magic thrown at us. He stopped the guards from rushing in and killing us as well. He aided us greatly. Mordred, the first guardian and the strongest guardian, aided us in battle as well, supporting us greatly. However, Mordred cannot be with us this evening. Let's get a moment of silence for him, please." As the crowd goes quiet. As a couple minutes pass, he begins to speak as well. "We also can't forget the heroes of Tav and his allies. They were strong and proved to be very brave. I'd give my life to fight by their side again. Same goes to the rest. It is true, the old king and queen of Silvermoon were indeed using the void. Let us remind you of the dangers of this magic." Steve steps back, Zaylene steps forward. "The void can cause a disease. It can cause deadly for females, for they no longer can give birth. Corrupt the strongest of men. The void destroys all form of life. It can eat the world. It almost creates a black hole. The only ones who reserve a deal with the void are the Void Watchers. They know best how to control it. Even the Void Watchers need cleansing of it. Let that be a reminder." As she bows and steps back, Tathan now steps forward once more. "Thank you, Zaylene. We are here to renew our treaty with Stormwind once again. The Eastern Kingdoms will be at peace. So I, Tathan Lightbringer, and I, Zaylene Lightbringer, renew our treaty with Stormwind. We hope to keep our cities at peace and continue our friendship always," as he extends his hand to King Alistair. Alistair nods. "I accept your treaty. But the peace and friendship last for always," as he shakes Tathan's and Zaylene's hands. The crowd begins to cheer. The crowd slowly begins to calm down as King Alistair raises his hand. "Now I was devastated by Keela's death, that I went into a slump. I read about the Shadowfell, hearing that sometimes spirits and undead can stay there, refusing to enter the final stage of death. I decided to travel to Shadowfell, where I changed the song. I decided to travel to the Shadowfell by myself in search of it. To my luck, I managed to find her soul and bring it back." So he takes off this necklace, revealing a crystal with a light inside, kind of bouncing around. Now, there is a reason I call this meeting. I'm looking for a group of adventurers to head to Thunderbluff and Kalimdor to find the Turin known as Papima. She can refuse the soul back into Keela's body, or so I've heard. I know these are just rumors, but I'm trusting them. The Thunderbluff isn't our ally. They're known to be very powerful in the ways of elements and their spirits. They are not ones to be messed with. I would go myself, but I've been gone for quite some time, so I have much work to attend to. Also, my daughter and Royal Council members demand me not to leave. Now, I will personally reward you greatly. You'll be given a seat at the Royal Council table. And more. I also need an executioner for tomorrow, if anyone, as Ranzor kind of extends his hand. I will be your executioner. I need a job anyways, and I got nothing better to do. As Alistair kind of nods. Excellent. You're all dismissed. As the group kind of makes their way around, deciding to head to the king to ask him about this quest. As the dude stop at I believe at the keep for a little quick second. As they then decide to make their way to the castle to talk to King Alistair. As they walk inside, they see that there is about 6 people there. As the king kind of looks at them, well, it doesn't surprise me that you lot have showed up here. Unfortunately, you're a tad late. This group of 6 already showed up. Sorry, guys. But as this figure, this human, blondish, brownish hair, nice little beard going on as he kind of steps up. Now, hold up. Hold up. Now, King, we don't need to be so hasty about these things. You said you wanted contestants, so here you are. The only logical thing to do would have a competition, right? From where I count, there's battles, there's alcohol, and there's more battles. So let's battle, shall we? My group versus your guys' group. As the group decides, screw it, why not? As they start a battle with these guys, it was a pretty intense battle. However, the man introduced himself as Rain, this human. His group did win. The Heroes of Tav and the rest of his group losing barely. Arya being the last one to stand, shooting a lightning bolt, knocking 2 people out, including Rain. Rain was one of those guys. As the whole party went unconscious, they were all brought back to health as Rain kind of talked to them. Well, you guys are pretty tough indeed. Fortunately, not tough enough, as he puts his lance and the shield on his back. Listen, we don't want the seat on the Royal Council. No offense to you, King, but it's not our thing. We just wanted it for the gold. But let me ask you this. Have you ever been to Kalmandor? Explored the land or villages, towns, seen the creatures or monsters roaming? If you haven't, you could be walking into a death trap. So why don't you let me lead you guys there? Show you the lands, and lead you to Thunderbluff. I can save you guys there. I heard you lot have a boat. It'd be fun. We could talk adventures, drink booze, talk about our past, drink more booze to talking about our past. The group decides, okay, we can do that. Sure, we'll take you with us, and decide to accept Rain on with their little group. Rain talks, saying the journey to Kalmandor is a long one and a dangerous one. However, we can shorten our journey time if we travel close by Deepholm. You know, that huge portal into the middle of the earth. The trip there would take about 2.5 months, but that's if we go close. As they all kind of a nod, Alistair kind of asks for the Pegasus ring back because he needs it for something. After this conversation, they decide to send Rain onto the boat as they all talk terms and just trying to figure out that this is actually happening. And decide to talk to the king, talking to him about their situation of how he returned and Mordred in the Shadowfell still. As they decide to tell the king that Mordred is still stuck in the Shadowfell, and that it's this one I want to find, right? Sure. And they're trying to figure out a way out as they ask for a gate spell. As Master kind of looks down, that is very expensive. You need a diamond, and well, the gate spell itself is very expensive. However, I can provide both these things, but since you guys are going on this quest, I would have to decrease your reward greatly. For our treasury isn't huge, but we can do this. As the group decides to accept it, take this diamond, and head to the mage quarters to talk to Gilmore, to get the scroll and talk to Gilmore and asking if he can read the spell and open the portal or the gateway. Gilmore decides, I guess so. I guess I don't really have a choice here, now do I? As Gilmore sits down in the middle of this room, he has to read this scroll as it opens up the gateway to the Shadowfell, asking for Mordred's full name, or using Mordred's full name as he's ripped out of this portal onto the ground. He looks a lot different. Mordred being this 6-foot tall man, usually bulky, kind of muscular, now skinny, pale white, and he almost appears to be dead, but not dead. On the other side of the gate, or the portal, they see a familiar figure, the elemental mage of darkness, who they love so much. She looks at them and greets them with a smile as she says, the gate spell. Excellent. I needed to learn this spell. Take your precious Mordred. I got what I needed from him. And as she laughs, the portal closes shut. As they tell Gilmore exactly what happened. He says he would keep an eye out just in case, or if anything were to happen, he would let them know. As they kind of nod, decide to head back onto the boat, or head onto the boat with Rain as they get ready to head to Kalmandor, to Thunderbluff. As Mordred and Keyleth's bodies are brought onto the ship to see if Queen Papima, or this lady, could help bring both of them back. As they set off to Kalmandor, being this 2.5-month adventure, about a month and a couple weeks of traveling, a boat begins to follow them. As Rain kind of looks at Vash and asking, what should we do? And Vash decides just to keep going. Eventually, as they get close to Deepholm, the boat turns around and leaves. As they pass by, or on kind of the side of this hole, this huge hole being massive, now seeing it up close. They see that it is a huge whirlpool with this almost red pit in the very middle, kind of letting off this light. As they kind of passing by it, Rain explains, or just tells a little story. Talking about rumors that he heard. I've heard many things about this place. Rumors say that a dragon known as Deathwing created this hole. He was silenced and brought down into the water by a woman who was called the Mother of Dragons. That a man who was deemed the Dragon Slayer used so much force to knock the dragon into the water with such strength, it caused a hole to the center of the world. Extraordinary, right? Of course, these are just rumors and legends, though. These stories were told over 1,000 years ago. The day I watched someone willingly go up to punch a dragon, as well as knock it to the center of the earth. Well, that's the day as he kind of stops. What the hell is that? As Rain points in the middle of the circle, they watch as this ghostly ship suddenly comes out of this red hole in the middle of the earth and begins to make its way towards their boat. And suddenly these large chains shoot out from the boat and stick inside Vash's ship. It begins to pull itself closer and closer, and now pulling them into the hole. As these creatures, these weird humanoids of blue skin and have almost tentacles coming off their heads and chins, as they begin running on the chains. Vash manages to shoot one off, and him and Arya shoot a lightning blast down the other one, and striking these two individuals, but they manage to stay on, as the boat now slams into Vash's, now locked on completely, the boat side to side, as apparently the captain of these sea fallen, or these tentacle face monsters hop on, as well as this large beetle creature jumps on the boat as well and begins to slam into the ground, causing all these spikes to rip out and slice into people as they all break into battle. the beetle causing massive damage on the ship. Rain continued to hold the wheel, trying to cause it to go the opposite way instead of sinking into the hull. This ghost ship, now seemingly coming out and slamming into the boat, keeps on smashing into it, causing a lot of damage. Vash decides to tell Rain to get off the wheel and head downstairs to see if he can repair the boat. Rain goes downstairs and with Kriv and Camwell's help begins to try to repair the ship as best as he can. Suddenly the boat, without Rain on it, the boat now is heading directly into the hole. As Vash decides to try to stop the boat, he is not able to, he's not strong enough, as the wheel is spinning so fast that it breaks his sword. I forgot a huge part. I just realized that. Because there's a very important person who I missed. So before the whole group actually talked to Gilmore, they investigated, or not in Gilmore, I think before they came back from the Void Watchers. They went to their kind of newly finished keep and met their servants, and had an applications for a bunch of bodyguards that they each interviewed and decided to hire them all. One of these bodyguards was called Tordek, the Dwarven cleric of the Forge Domain. They decided to bring him along. That's what I forgot to mention. Tordek being this awesome dwarf with a beautiful white beard and blue glowing eyes. Aldrak's kind of fighting this beetle, now seeing that this boat is heading towards the middle of this hole, and seeing that Vash isn't strong enough, decides to pick up Tordek and now throw him across this boat. And landing right beside the wheel, Tordek manages to grab this wheel and begin to stop it from turning. He manages to keep the boat still, barely turning it left to keep it away from going inside this hole. Smart move by Aldrak, being his Goliath self. But they break into battle with this creature, just constantly fighting it until it finally falls, and all these monsters in the sea fallen all die. Rain quickly repairing the boat as best as he can. The boat ended up almost sinking at one point. They all decide to go down and help fix the boat as best they can, now bringing it back up to all the water out, all the holes fixed, and now heading back on path to Kalmandor. Eventually they arrive to Kalmandor after another month and a half, so 3 months in total. They reach Kalmandor, the Barrens. And the Barrens is... The majority of this region consists of vast plains. There's mountains to the west that hold in heated air, that create the swirling winds that rage across the plains, where these windstorms throw up dust devils and tear apart anything larger than a small tenacious scrub tree. Water is more valuable than gold in the Barrens. However, lots of dry riverbeds, and a never-ending spiderweb of canyons. The land is mostly flat with a few hills scattered throughout. The climate is harsh and hot, but survivable due to the several lush oases. With a stretch of coastline to the east, mountains to the northwest, plains to the west, forest to the north, and marsh to the southeast, and the desert conditions to the south and northeast. The Barrens is surrounded by extremely varied landscapes. As Rain speaks, alright, we're heading northwest, to the mountains. Thunder Bluff should be located on the top of the mountains. At a steady pace, we could get there in a day or two. Let's just hope we don't run into any wandering friends, shall we? The first night or the first day goes by seemingly harmless. The second day, as they're passing by over a little bridge with some water in it, they stumble upon some camels just kind of minding their own business, kind of walking around, as Arya and Caspian decides camels are cool, let's go check them out. As they walk to check out the camels, the sand below them just suddenly comes alive and engulfs them in it. This sand, also known as I think it's called a dune mimic, or a doom mimic, that can take the form of terrain, engulfs them, as well as this Sand, or this desert giant, appears as well, kind of hiding in the sand, blending in with his mimic. As the giant begins to pick up these camels and begin throwing them at people as they break into battle with Sand and a giant. They manage to defeat the Sand, and Tordek managed to shoot a blight spell, disintegrating this this giant into nothing. The group being like, holy crap, good job. As the group now continues to head past this desert, Keyleth and Mordred's bodies on top of Aldrax and Rain. They decide to camp out once they get out of the desert into some actually grassy land. Gotta forget another part. Wow, I'm really bad at these. On the boat, during the whole fight with the sea falling craps, when things were looking bad, when Arya kind of got knocked off the boat and she was hanging on the side, a dragon turtle suddenly appeared with a tiefling on it, known as Maldrax, or Maldrix. They want to call him Maldrix, also known as Matthew. He arrived and provided a lot of assistance to this group, and as this dragon turtle was taken by this whirlpool and sunk into the middle of the earth, or this huge hole, decided he doesn't really have a choice now. He's kind of stuck with these people, and decided to head with them as he helped destroy the sand and the sand giant. The second night, as he was resting, as he was kind of chilling in his tent, Vash taking watch, there's a portal, or not a portal, a little blink of light. Vash kind of confused, but just ignored it as he kind of peeked in to wake him up, Maldrix up to take his to take the second watch. Instead of Maldrix, there was Kriv. Kriv decided to stay on the boat during this time to watch the boat with Canwell. Kriv now taking the second watch, warning Kriv that he did see some weird creatures kind of watching them, or watching him at night. The rest of the night went by peacefully, but eventually they did arrive at the bottom of these 4 towering mesas, or rises, that stood about several hundred feet up. They saw these wooden lifts that led to that led all the way to the top of this central platform. At the very bottom, guarding this lift, were 2 large, muscular humanoids with bowl-like heads. They are mostly made up of muscle, having incredibly developed physiques and brawny frames that are most suitable for combat. They have soft, downy fur that covers their humanoid bodies, with manes growing along head and neck, the lengths of their arms, and the shins. 3 fingers in each of their hands, the long horns on top of their heads. They stand about 11 feet high as they speak giant. "Ooh, goes there. What business have here?" Ardax being the only one who speaks giant, asks Rain for help to kind of communicate with these guys. As Rain tells him what the best he can, Ardax kind of explains the best he can back. These humanoids kind of make fun of the rest of the group as they manage to persuade these what are known as Turns that they need to talk to the Lady of Papima. As the Turns decide, sure. As they're led up the lift several hundred feet up, as they make their way, they see all these they see a bunch of these muscular humanoids, all these Turns walking around, their heights ranging from 9 to 12 feet. They see tents, totems, and wooden buildings throughout the top of this mesa, or rise. The Turn leads them across this rockety wooden bridge. As they cross it, they arrive at this huge, large white tent, with 2 more of these Turns standing in front with large spears as they say in giant, "Bow when enter. Elder, respect." They decide to walk inside, and they see 2 more of these Turns, but more taller and more muscular than they have ever seen. As one stands up, having this huge totem pole, almost as a weapon. As he stands up, introduces himself, speaking the common tongue. "I am King Guhot, leader of the Turns. This is Queen Papima. We are the keepers of the elements. What brings you here?" as they tell them why they're here, revealing Keyleth and Mordred's body. Papima kind of stands up and walks through these bodies, kind of just feeling them up as she speaks. This is no easy task. Her spirit is shattered, broken and ruined from this land. However, she is one with the air. She is what the people breathe, what keeps them living. She is life herself, a wonderful being. The Air Ward is where you must go, to renew and be bound to the spirit. The Tempest Temple, located in Aqua, is where you need to go. A coffin lies within the temple. Lie her inside and wait. The air elements will do the rest. Your friend. He is one with fire. Brave. Strong. I will need things of fire. Your chain. For example, pointing at Caspian, the one that makes her immune to fire and able to walk across lava. And Aldrax hands up one of his weapons, his fire axe. She says, "This will do. However, you will bring me something in return. Inside the Tempest Temple in Aqua, there is an egg of white and blue. Give me your word you will get this from me, and I will send you as close as I can to the Tempest Temple." As they agree, he says, "Excellent," and begins to do a little dance around this room, causing all this wind to slowly come around as she's gently dancing, almost like a delicate dance. As she spins, the torchlights flicker, parchment and anything not heavy begins to fly around the room. A slowly, at first, tiny tornado begins to spawn from the middle of this room as it rises. She says, "Step inside." As they all step inside, they arrive, and nothing. They're just flying in midair. They can feel the wind rapidly traveling throughout, and they get the sense that one wrong move, your body could be torn apart by these winds. As Rain's kind of looking around, they see a shining domain of silver spires and verdant gardens atop a fertile earth moat, with a variety of human-looking birds flying their way. They see that they're following a very precise direction, yet they keep on changing the direction as well as they're kind of flying through, seemingly to dodge these winds and not be torn apart. They seem to know these lands pretty well, but yet they had to keep changing their course as they arrive as they fly over and land next to the group. They see that these humanoids, where their hands are, have 3 human-sized fingers and opposable thumb. They have an elongated 4th finger that extends the length of their wing and locked in place during flight. Powerful legs ending in 4 sharp talons that can unlock and fold back to reveal another pair of functional hands. Their faces combine the features of both parrots and eagles. They have gray, black beaks and black eyes. Their color varied. There appears to be about 4 of these humanoids. All 4 are spears as they begin to speak a language they don't really understand. As they kind of point at the temple, kind of grab them, basically saying, "Come with us," as they decide to go peacefully. They make their way to the temple. As they enter, they see not really a throne room, just a huge open room with a pillar in the middle with an orb of wind just spinning in place, almost looking like a physical object. There's one human in the middle that sticks out a little more, who looks up and approaches. "I speak to common tongue. I am Glick, mortals of the material plane. What brings you to the land of air?" As he explains, or as they all explain, he replies with, "You are not permitted to enter the Tempest Temple. You were not permitted. You will leave in 3 days. That is when the air will be calm. Until then, you remain in our holding cells." As the group kind of does not like their option, not liking the idea that they cannot help their friend Keyleth, they decide to go willingly to this cell of theirs, as bags are placed over their heads so they do not see where they're going. They arrive in this pretty cozy looking area. There's a cozy bed with all kinds of fur on it. There's lots of lights. There's even a fireplace, but there's no windows. As they all lie here, so they're trying to figure out what they can do here. As they're kind of having a conversation, trying to figure out what can we do to get out of here. What can we do to find this coffin? Rain manages to pick lock this pretty locked steel door. As they were kind of in surprise and looking out the cell to see if they see anyone. They decide to have Tordek stay back because of his plate armor, not being stealthy. They make their way out of this room into down this hallway to a 60-foot room, or 60 foot on one side, with a 5-foot stone doors in the middle of each wall. These 60-foot walls. In each corner of this room stands a 10-foot tall statue of a great bird prowling and ready to strike. The eyes in the statue appear to be a very pristine-looking ruby. That looking from there or here could be worth some platinum. They decide to kind of stay at the entrance, not wanting to step into his room, looking like a trap. Rain just steps inside to get a better look of these hallways. Aldrax remembers that when they were brought here, the room to the right of this doorway was how they first arrived here. They decide to enter down the left hallway, making their way down of this 150-foot long hallway, about 10 feet wide and high. As they make their way down, they see a glass door. Past the glass door, a coffin. So they all make their way down. Aldrax stays at the back, on the right side of this huge gate where they passed by, just making sure that if it goes to close, he can grab it open and stop it, so their friends aren't locked inside there. As soon as Caspian pulls the door, all of a sudden these two portals open up, blocking the door and blocking Aldrax, as a huge sphere of crushing doom now comes out of the portal, blocking the entire hallway, where there's nothing passing by as it slowly rolls down and it's slowly picking up speed, faster and faster and faster. Arya decides to take Keela's body and teleport inside the coffin room, as the rest of the group is now stuck inside here with this sphere. As Caspian shadow steps using her Void Watcher powers to avoid the sphere as the sphere crushes in to Vash, Kriv, and Rain, slamming against their bodies, doing quite a bit of damage. They're not sure what to do, as the sphere keeps going through the portal, appearing at the very top and making its way down, continuing to crush them and crush them. Rain being the first one to fall unconscious as the spear crushes into his body, causing all blood to appear on the wall behind him and a bunch of broken bones. Them not knowing what to do, Arya begins to open the coffin and place Keyleth inside, closing the coffin. Aldrax decides that he doesn't know how to help his friend, so he runs back and gets Tordek. They make their way back. Tordek teleports inside the room and quickly begins to investigate, finding these runes that he can dispel. Every time he dispels a rune, the sphere shortens or slows down. He's able to do 2 runes as the sphere keeps on going down. Rain becomes back conscious for a split second before getting crushed again. Vash going unconscious the same time as Rain. The sphere comes again as Tordek and Caspian are running to the other side to undo these runes. Rain and Vash fail a death saving throw. Now 1 for a death saving throw. As Rain disables 1 pair of runes, now 1 left. The sphere comes again, crushing Rain and Vash and Kriv. Vash and Rain failing another death saving throw. As Tordek desperately, quickly tries to disable these runes, Caspian makes a split decision to dump a potion down Vash's mouth to bring him alive, just in case the sphere does hit them again. Rain would be the one to die. Thankfully, Tordek manages to disable the rune just in time as the sphere stops about 5 feet in front of them. and then disappears into the floor. The portal's now disappearing. They all decide to quickly just go inside the coffin room and lock it and rest, now avoiding this trap. Aldrax, on the other hand, stays outside and begins to kind of search, and hears that there are people walking down the stairs. As they... Sorry, there was stuff on my laptop. As these footsteps begin making their way downstairs, he decides to hide and climb on top of a statue in a 60-foot open room. As these bird creatures come in, or Araka, something, Arax, I don't know what they're called. I know what they're called, I just can't pronounce it. I'm just gonna call them Arax. As they walk into the empty room and head into the prison cells, begin knocking on it, checking if there's anything they can see or hear, but no one responds. So they freak out, head into the main open room, and quickly see Aldrax on top of a statue. As Aldrax climbs down, Glick greets them and asks where the others are. Aldrax tries to lie and say that they're the wrong way, but Glick sees right through the lie and heads down the opposite way where they actually are. They, Aldrax tries to slow him down by fighting some of these Arax, but the Arax basically beat Aldrax's butt. As Aldrax decides to surrender and walk back very slowly back to the holding cell. As Glick walks back to the coffin room, the door, however, locked, so he can't get in. As he talks to them, saying, "Let me in. I bring you no harm." The coffin, and explains that the coffin takes a lot of power, and that their guard, or their shield, is very weakened right now because of them. So if they get attacked, it's their fault. They decide to open the locked door as they're all led back to the holding cell room. As they're locked inside, once again the door barricaded even heavily. Just wait for the next day. They were to leave, or not the next day. The 2 more days. Later that day, however, later that night, the door opens as a familiar figure is thrown inside, being Lady Keyleth, or Princess Keyleth, the one who has been dead for quite some time. As Glick says, "Here, take her. Since you started the process and already screwed things up, might as well have her." Keyleth quickly hugs everyone. Vash, the first, she just seems really happy to see everyone as they're all kind of having a reunion. Rain and Tordek are kind of just bonding by Tordek healing Rain's broken bones. As the second day passes, the third night, or the third day when they're supposed to leave, they hear a bunch of explosions and quakes throughout the lands. They're very confused and not know what exactly is going on, but they get the feeling that they're definitely under attack. As they as the door opens, they see Glick kind of standing there and saying, you destroyed our shield, or let it down, so you will assist us in stopping the earth creatures. Come now." As they make their way to the top floor, they see that it is indeed being attacked. And the first thing they notice when they enter here, of these 2 wooden tables open like this meeting hall, in the center of this table lies a white and blue egg. As they decide, how are we gonna grab this egg in the midst of this war going on? They are quickly led by a bunch of these Arax into different rooms, splitting the party to defend against these stone giant dreamwalkers and these earth elementals. As they break into a fight, During the fight, Caspian leaves the room. Stealthily, runs out, checking if the coast is clear, managing to dodge all these Iraqs, make her way to the center of the room, grabbing the egg and running downstairs, making her way to the cell door where Keyleth lies, still recovering from being dead. As Caspian hands the egg to her and says, "Hide this." Keyleth kind of nodding. Caspian makes her way out to making it seem like she was never gone. As the group finishes killing these monsters, Glick thanks them as he makes his way over to the table and sees that the egg is gone. Talking about how important this egg is. Glick seems very upset. Kind of asks the group what happened, and the group says they have no idea. They've been helping this entire time. Glick decides, "Alright, come with me." As he makes their way downstairs, collects Keyleth. Keyleth has a huge backpack on. As he says, there's pillows in this backpack. Glick believing her, not really caring, as he teleports them back out. Back into Thunderbluff. As they're up here in Thunderbluff, they stand before the familiar scene and the rulers of Thunderbluff. As Guhat stands before them. "You live after all. Surprise for your kinds. Business. Give us what you promised." As Papima stands before them. "The egg, and I would bring back your other friend." Once the egg is given to them, Papima places Mordred in the center of the room, breaks the axe, causing lava and magma to spill onto the floor. She makes 2 circles, a huge one and one just the size of Mordred, as he then places the chain of Caspian on his chest before smashing it inside. He begins to just sit right beside him and begins to do a long hour process of bringing him back to life. They all just kind of sit around waiting for Mordred to be back. As an hour passes, Mordred now comes back to life, being back to his normal self. As the first thing he says when he wakes up is "Caspian." As Caspian runs over and hugs him. All of a sudden, Guhat and Papima stand up and walk towards the front of the tent. As Papima says, "Woman of air, greetings." A figure steps through the door. The woman says, "Unfortunately, I do not have time for greetings. You stole something from my home, and I wish to have it back. You there, the non-Terrans. You were last seen there. Tell me which one of you took it, and where it is now." As this woman now appearing to be the elemental mage of air. Before they answer, or when they answer, kind of telling them that they had the egg, Guhat stands in front of her, Papima stepping up behind her. Guhat looks at her dead in the face, being this small individual, about 5'6", human. Guhat says, "Leave now, egg is ours," with a smile, as this elemental mage of air gets pissed, and says, "You dare threaten me, Terran. I'm the master of wind, and I can tear your body in half with a single flick." Us elemental mages protect this land from total chaos. We are the ones that keep you alive, the ones that make sure the elements do not crash into your plane. You have a sad way of thinking us. Guhat responds, "Do not care. Leave." As she now gets really furious, she forms a long spear made out of pure wind that almost looks like a real spear of how thick this wind is. As she lunges it into his heart, the spear disappearing after, the huge hole inside Guhat suddenly burst into flames as it slowly just repairs back, now looking completely fine, almost like it never happened. As she stands there confused and stunned, Guhat responds, "We, stuck in isolation, hated by all the races. We mastered elements. All of them. You tricks do nothing. You're weak." As he takes this large totem pole and slams it into her stomach as she flies back, Papima opening a portal. She flies through the portal disappears. Guhat says, "Silence now. Return to your world. You are not welcome." Guhat then turns around and screams, "Now leave, you're done. Did Thunderbluff great service, and remember when, if we battle, we'll not kill you. Now go! As they quickly head out of Thunderbluff, leaving Keyleth and Mordred with them, they make their way back to the boat, meeting back with Canwell and Maldrix the Tiefling, as they make their way all the way back to the Eastern Kingdoms and back to Stormwind. As they all arrive, they're really confused, as Rain talks about never having a peaceful ride back to the Eastern Kingdoms before. As they all arrive, they're greeted by a bunch of guardians and guards as they all wave as they approach. Gilmore, approaching them, says, "Well, it's been quite some time. Vesh, your baby is coming very soon. She's due in a couple weeks. You got lucky. Also, the king is expecting you guys, so head over, and oh, you should visit Ranzo at the Old Keep. It's been a while since anyone has seen him. Then again, nobody blames him for the old incident. I can't believe that. So stop there on your way to the king. I will meet you guys there." The rest of the group decides, alright, we're going to head there. As they all wait outside the Old Keep. Kriv goes inside, knocks on the door, seeming that it's locked. As he slams open on it, it seems there's something blocking it. The rest of the group hearing this, making their way inside. Maldrix decides to, or Maldrix and I want to say Arya at a dimension door inside, and they see that the first thing they see is Ranzor hanging from the ceiling with a thick chain around his neck in the middle of the room. They see a stool knocked over beneath him. On the bed, Utaga and her 3 kids, rose petals placed all around them. Ranzor's eyes in the back of his head, tongue hanging out, and a note lies on the table. As Maldrix moves all the barricade off the table, as Arya reads the note. She reads, "Honesty is very important in any relationship. If you can look me in the eyes and lie to me, you are no friend of mine. I may not be the wisest, but I'm not dumb. I went back and investigated her body, here are the remains of it. No resurrection cube. I was furious at all of you. I wanted to kill you all. You were away. Miles away. I started thinking dark things, how Vash had a lady who was pregnant with a child. I thought of killing her and showing him what it feels like to lose a family. I thought of finding the people that were chasing after your halfling friend Caspian, making a deal with them to kill her, telling them I'd deal with the demon. Traveling to Dalaran and murder Arya's family. I thought of murdering Miley in front of you, Kriv, or traveling to the Shadowfell to convince the bitch to take me instead as a minion and killing you off. I thought of hunting down Camel's dragons and slaying them, putting their heads on a stake for him to see. I even thought about finding Aldrax's stepfather, whoever the hell he is, ripping off his head. I hear a lot. I can find and research a lot. I locked myself in my room. No matter how mad I was, I couldn't get out. I barricaded my window to make sure I couldn't get out. I realized that having Utaga and my kids' bodies in the room just made it worse. I decided in the end I couldn't hurt you guys. None of you. I didn't want to. I didn't want to go back to becoming an alcoholic killer. That all I did was drink and murder. So if you're reading this note, I couldn't handle this pain anymore. I didn't want others to feel my pain. Goodbye. You'll never be heroes in my book. Next to the note was a pendant. A pendant that says, Utaga, I made this pendant for you out of the heart of the Void Dragon. I love you and I'll always protect you. So they kind of took a moment to realize all this and took it all in. They decided to bury the bodies and give it a moment of silence before heading to the castle to talk to the king. As they went inside, they saw the king and a figure beside them who just released this aura of light. As the king, seeing Keyleth, they quickly hugged and had a big reunion as this lady stepped towards the group, introduced herself, saying, I am Lady Divine, the elemental mage of light. I was hoping to get in contact with you guys, actually. It seems that you have angered one of the mages. They seem to have... You seem to have stole her dragon. The only dragon of air. We have heard that another elemental dragon was taken, the one of nature. Now Arya, she knows you have it. We know it was a gift, I guess you can say. However, the truth is, Darnassus stole that ring from her, and then they decided to hide it in Moonglade for safekeepings. She doesn't have business with you, but her business with Darnassus is still continuing. Probably the huge fuss going on there now. However, I came to say to you guys, though, the elemental mages have been helping this world since the beginning of time. Humanity has been pushing them greatly. Shadow became the elemental of darkness because she got tired of humanity treating us like dirt. She wants to cleanse the world of Zatov. That is why she was banished to the Shadowfell. Thankfully, she has no way of leaving, for she has no way of teleportating out. We made sure of that as Caspian interrupts her in saying that she does have a way to escape now. The elemental mage of light kind of looks shocked and says, "Oh dear, we may have an issue." More than likely, the Shadow will try to convince the other mages to start a cleansing. Thankfully, we have prepared for this. During our whole outbreak with Shadow, we managed to lock away some of her powers in a vault hidden in the land of Zatov. I can't tell you the location currently for safety reasons. However, I must ask a request of you. You ought to have angered the mages. Doing this may please them. Shadow has not landed in the material plane yet. However, when she does, she will most likely try to head to the vault. Once she lands in the material plane, I can come get you lot and teleport you there. But you must make sure she does not get her powers back, and do not underestimate her. She may not have her full power, but she is mighty, and she still has her dragon. As they say, yeah, we could do this, Rain kind of steps forward. Listen, I know you guys already answered, but listen, I enjoyed this trip with you all very much, actually. It was a blast. But why don't you let us take this one? We won the little duel we had. I also proved to be a good fighter and a sailor. Plus you guys have the Heroes of Toph with you, and you have other business that you guys kind of need to deal with. So let us take this. And the group kind of all looking at each other and decided, okay, fine, but whenever things get bad, you make sure that you get us. And Rain says, I don't plan on dying anytime soon, don't worry. As they kind of say, okay. Rain accepts the deal with the Elemental Mage of Light before she heads off. And the rest of the group now decides to wait. Not actually have anything to do now. Decide to head back to the keep and relax. Mordred and Caspian having a little bit of a romance, as Mordred asked to spend the night. They decide to just have a night where it's just them. But they don't have to worry about anything for a night for once. The next day, a lady known as Kada arrives, being this blood elf, as she runs into Maldrix, the tiefling, as they talk and quickly get along with their talks about information and such. Kada seems to have a lady with her, a human, known as Liliana. He appears to be a spy master, or a kind of a mysterious woman who knows a lot and is sneaky. Being her assistant as she arrives at the keep, wanting to meet everyone, just to talk, because she was friends with the old people, and especially she's really good friends with the king. She mentions information that she has on Arya, Aldrax, the Ziggurat, and even Kriv. Maldrix decides to offer a deal. To play a game of dice. Whoever wins has to, or whoever loses has to spill all the information they know and has to take the other on a date. Whoever wins only has to say half. She decides to make this deal. However, she did lose. She had to spill a lot of information. One of those informations I cannot spill on this video, because the rest of the group watches these videos, and that would spoil a lot that I cannot say. Sorry, guys. However, they did learn that the Demon Hunters are currently looking for Caspian. They learned that the Ziggurat has an anti-magic field that can stop anything, and that it can steal the magic from people and the life force, and it also appears to have or be a portal to another dimension that they don't know how to enter. They learned that the Gunslingers have an open slot and they're looking to recruit someone. But that's all the information I can share with you guys right now, unfortunately. I'm sorry. The second night of kind of just resting after Kata leaves, Maldrex decided to spend his nights in a brothel, having wonderful relationships with the wonderful redhead. As Caspian and Mordred are sleeping, a dark green portal opens up in their room. Mordred quickly stands up, seemingly grab a sword to protect Caspian. Illidan now stands before them and says, "Caspian, stop your guards from breaking in your door, or we're going to have some problems." She stands up, walks outside, and quickly tells the guards it's not a problem as she closes the door, makes her way back to Illidan, as Illidan now uses this huge green blast to kind of throw Mordred against the wall for Mordred kind of standing against him, still sword in his hand. As Caspian tries to calm him down, he demands for the cube. However, she decides she doesn't know where the cube is. She actually has no idea. She decides to get rally everyone up, and make their way inside the room. As a huge conflict breaks out. Illidan now just wanting this cube, but no one knowing where it is. Vash really revealing that Aljax was the last one to leave the house or the cabin, saying that he basically has it. Vash and Aljax kind of getting in a little bit of an argument in a fight. They decide to send the new girl in, Liliana, who was kind of left there by Kata, as she begins the Zone of Truth spell and begins to try to make everyone spill the truth. Maldrex getting a message, basically asking for help. So he makes his way to the keep, the guards blocking him, but Arya managing to send a message saying, "Let him in." As he enters, he begins to try to talk with this 16-foot tall demon hunter, as he manages to persuade him into making a deal. For a guy that doesn't like to make deals, that is a generous offer from Illidan. As he says, 3 days. Tiefling. If I do not have the cube in 3 days, you are losing your head. As they make a deal, Illidan leaves. Aljax quickly grabbing Vash and throwing him against the wall and yelling at him. This group now has a little bit of an argument. They decide to break up the fight. Maldrex calming everyone down. They decide to kind of back up. Aljax leaving the room, everyone going their own separate ways. Aljax quickly goes to the Raven Queen and begins to talk to her, saying that, "Why didn't you answer me when I was asking for your help?" She replies that, "I wasn't able to." And as Aljax asks for guidance, she says that the truth is already out, even though I told you to keep it hidden. People already know. So you might as well just take a leap of faith, and if this man is telling the truth, maybe trust his word or attempt. Aljax deciding, alright. As Maldrex decides to have a group meeting tomorrow morning to discuss everything. They all head to sleep, and the next morning, they all began to talk. They They all discuss what is going on as Aldrax brings down the cube, admits to having it, and then leaves. And then they try to talk about, or how to signal the demon hunters. Not knowing how, but they manage to just kind of wave, and one of the demon hunters does come out, being Isaac, kind of the dick one, I guess they call him. As they talk to him, saying that we do have the cube, as they hand the cube to Illidan, as Illidan comes in later. Isaac then walks up to Caspian, shakes your hand and saying, I will help you. When the time comes, we will give the cube to you, and make sure you do come back to life. As they all feel kind of better now about this deal, and the demon hunters leave with the cube. Maldrax decides to go have a drink with Aldrax, now telling him about some information that he has learned. Also telling Arya information that he has learned about her. They all decide to kind of go their own separate ways for today. Mordred decided to leave the keep to go do his job after having an interesting night with Caspian. Especially after telling Caspian that he did love her that night. For the first time, admitting that he did fall in love with her. That he does very much love her. And that the only thing keep him alive throughout the entire pain he went through was her. Caspian, Maldrax, and Arya all went to the magic shop to go do some shopping, where Arya got a new cloak. A really good cloak that cost her a lot of platinum, about 100 platinum. And for Maldrax to sing a lovely song outside the outside her shop. After Arya decided to then head to the tavern to talk to Tordek, since she just learned how to the basics of forging and wanted Tordek to teach her, since Tordek is a wonderful smith. As Tordek says, sure, go ahead and go sit down. I'll give you a drink. Just give me some business, or give me some time. I'm screwing up the accent completely. I know it a lot better, I swear. She sits down. The tavern here is very full, almost packed. She's sitting at the only table that doesn't have someone by it, as a figure walks in with a cloak on, hood not revealing her face. She sits down. Arya suddenly notices all the people in the tavern stand up at once, all draw daggers, putting hoods up, begin to rush towards her. The figure now suddenly sitting beside Arya, stands up, revealing to be Lily, her old friend from so long ago that kind of just threw her out with these random group of people. As she says, Arya, get back, as one of these individuals takes this dagger and stabs it inside her side. The blood pouring out as Lily stands up and says, I told you bastards to never come here again! Arya, assistance! As she yells this, as Arya stands up, suddenly there's two gunshots from the entrance of this tavern as Jenna, Arya's kind of star-crossed lover, no, not star-crossed lover, stands up and begins to assist in fighting these individuals. Tordek, getting pissed, I do not fuck up my bar! As he stands out and begins fighting out, they manage to kill these individuals, all these individuals, pretty easily, being just some normal, almost cultists. Arya, after being told information about Maldrax, knowing why they're here, Lily and Jenna get into a little bit of a fight, as Jenna is claiming her dominance over Arya. Arya calms them down after they get into a fight, and Lily explains that, I know you want an explanation, especially since I kind of threw you with random strangers. I'm assuming you already know your relationship with dragons, and from the ring I can tell that you kind of already figured it out. You should also know that the relic doesn't belong to you. But let me start from the beginning. The real reason your parents sent you to Dalaran was because you have an ancient blood running through you. I'm assuming you heard the stories of a mother of dragon calming a dragon known as Deathwing, before a dragon slayer knocked him into the earth, causing Deepholm, the center of earth. The stories were true. However, the way she was able to calm the dragon was taking Deathwing's the way she was able to calm the dragon was taking Deathwing's blood and merging it with herself. It caused dragons to fear her. She was called Fania, She was a tiefling whose home was destroyed by dragons, so she wanted to master them, control them, and crush them. There's more to this, I promise you, but for me to continue, I wish you to see something. A place in Northrend known as Dragonblight. Whenever you are ready, I will be in the mage quarters. Come talk to me, and I can teleport us there. It seems you have business with this lovely lady. As Lily heads off, as Tordek heals her, Jenna seems very happy to see Arya. She gives her lots of kisses. As she talks to her, saying that, I'm glad you're okay. I just came to see my favorite little wizard, and you were being attacked. But I'm going to talk to you about something. Since you guys managed to take out the crow, get us some huge money, our leader has wanted to thank you personally. Perhaps give one of you an invitation to join us. Only one of you. You don't look like someone who should use a gun with your fancy magic, which is sad, because we could be spending a lot of time together. However, if you have a moment to join, let me know. As, she kind of gives Arya a kiss, or gives Arya a kiss. Arya tells her that we do have a keep, so to come there later. And Jenna says, I'll be there later tonight. As Jenna leaves, Arya's left inside this tavern with Tordek. And that was where we left off. So thank you guys for watching this very long episode. It would have been a lot quicker if I didn't script the recording the first time. So thank you guys very much for watching and staying with me through all this. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye.